John D. Feely is the U.S. ambassador to Cuba. Well, I should say was the U.S. ambassador to Cuba. Following Donald Trump's obscene comments yesterday, he just resigned. He said, I can no longer, in good conscience, serve in the Trump administration as the ambassador to Panama. Amazing. Dion in Round Lake, Illinois. Hey, Dion, what's on your mind today?
Tom, yeah, Trump has IQ under 100. I bet he plays a smart guy only on TV.
Yeah, it seems. He's certainly not doing it in the White House.
There's an animated film that's out called Bird Boy, The Forgotten Children, about, it's set on a remote island that used to be thriving, and it was decimated by an industrial blast. And then yesterday we had Courier laying off people, and we had Sam's Club laying off people. So do you think Donald Trump is going to turn this country into a crab hole if the economy crashes on him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that that's what's happening. I mean, you've got several, and thank you for moderating your obscenity. You've got several companies, a number of companies who are saying, yeah, we're gonna. In fact, before I tell this story, let me get back to John D. Rockefeller. John D. Rockefeller was widely hated in the United States in the 19-teens. He had Teddy Roosevelt going after him. He controlled the price of kerosene, which everybody was using for heat, for light. He was just, widely reviled, and he was obscenely rich. He was one of the morbidly rich in that era. And so he hired a PR guy, and the PR guy said, what you need to do is get a roll of brand new shiny dimes and go out on the street in front of your headquarters and pass them out to all the street urchins, all the kids who are out there begging, because we had such widespread poverty in the United States and in New York City at the time that you couldn't walk down the street without kids begging for money from you. And so Rockefeller did that. He got a camera crew or an illustrator or reporters or whatever, however he publicized it, got a lot of publicity. And he got a lot of good PR for it. And, John Rockefeller has a heart of gold. He's giving not brand new shiny dimes to kids. And a dime back then was worth maybe, I don't know, $3 now. So it was not inconsequential. But essentially, that's what these companies are doing, is they're saying, okay, we're going to give to some of our employees, Walmart to the employees that have been there more than 20 years, we're going to give them a shiny dime, and then we're going to take, dollars and dollars and dollars from them, which is what John Rockefeller was doing. And we're seeing this in company after company. Sure, we'll give a bonus, and we're going to publicize that, and then we're going to lay a bunch of people off. And that's what's going on. Well said, Dion. Randy in Ottawa, Iowa. Hey, Randy, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Tom. Good day, sir.
Thank you. Back at you.
I hope I can. This is kind of a complicated scenario that I see going on with Trump, and I'm not really going to comment. I think that's a Tourette's moment of a mentally ill man, a moment where he just broke.
I disagree. I strongly disagree. I don't think that was Tourette's at all.
You think it's dog whistle then, huh?
I think he's reflecting his core beliefs. This is a man whose father was arrested at a Ku Klux Klan rally. This is a guy who was prosecuted in his 20s when he was renting properties in New York City for refusing to rent to black people. He had his employees put the letter C on any application filled in by a person of color, for color. Yeah. This is a guy who has a long history, of I mean, look at the Central Park Five. You've got these 5 young black men who were charged with raping and killing this woman, and the DNA and got arrested. The DNA evidence came back, and it turned out it wasn't any of them. They had nothing to do with it, and they found in their jail a convicted rapist whose DNA matched. And when they went to him and said, did you do this? He said, yeah. He confessed. He totally confessed to it. So we know who the Central Park killer was and the rapist was. And after all that came out, Donald Trump is still calling for the death penalty for those 5 young black men.
Well, Tom, I disagree with you. And I think that a guy can be a racist, a long-lived racist.
And look at all his rants about Barack Obama not even being born in the United States. Come on, that's code for, have you noticed he's a black man?
What's going on today? What's going on today in the last week is that if you look at this in context with what happened in Iran-Contra, and I was reminded of this in this new movie out with Tom about Barry Seals, The American Made. It is entertaining and it is informative both, and condensed that makes you see it in an easy fashion to read or to understand. So when you look at what's going on with Trump, he has a Camp David retreat where he has all the Republicans there. Within 2 days, he has the DACA thing where what's her name from California asked for a clean DACA bill,
right.
and he can't even stay on message that long. And McCarthy reels him in and gets him back on message, because without the Republicans keeping him on message, he can't stay on message.
Yeah.
And the thing is that they're holding his ticket, because if they quit backing him, he's going down through the Mueller investigation. So the thing is that I think it's time for the 25th Amendment, Tom. I think that any man that incites violence within this country in a civil war, or what's coming with his reckless, self-serving, superior behavior, it's reprehensible, and it's time for the 25th Amendment, sir.
I don't disagree, Randy.
I think he's mentally ill.
I do too, and I think it's been going on for a while, and I think, frankly, he's suffering from dementia. If you've ever watched somebody experience dementia, and I have, and probably most people who are in their 60s have known somebody who became demented, or whatever the word is, who experienced dementia.
Yep.
Whether it's Alzheimer's or just, vasocerebral dementia, or whatever the cause may be. What you find is that the thing that endures through it all is the core of their personality. That, they lose dates, they lose names, they lose places, they lose, the news of the day, they forget where and when they are, but they know what they believe. They know their core convictions. And I think that's what we're seeing. Donald Trump should have been smart enough to know he's sitting in a room both with Republicans who will tolerate this, apparently, but also with Democrats. Dick Durbin was in that room. And any person with any sense at all would have known this is suicide. This is political suicide. Setting aside the fact that, it's obscene and immoral and wrong. But he was not self-aware enough to even, or capable of what in psychology is called executive function, the ability to regulate yourself, the ability to restrain yourself, the ability to have some control over your own words and behaviors. He was unable to do that. It's amazing.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, real quick, Randy, please.
There is a coincidence here between what happened with Reagan and his Alzheimer's, and how the Republicans and the CIA and stuff exploited him through that time.
Oh, yeah.
And the military exploited him, and what's going on today with Trump, and how they're going to enable Trump to exploit him to get what they want.
Well, what happened with Reagan, a friend of mine deposed Ronald Reagan, was part of the team that deposed Ronald Reagan in the Iran-Contra thing, where 186 times, as I recall.
Hearings.
Yeah, he said, "I don't remember." No, this was in closed session. This was not any public hearing, and she said he was president at the time, and she said he wasn't there. He kept forgetting what room he was in. He kept forgetting what the topic was. He couldn't remember the names of the lawyers, including his own lawyer. Ronald Reagan, in the last couple of years of his presidency, was exhibiting signs of Alzheimer's. And what the Republican Party did, and what the White House did, is they kept him away from the press, unless it was tightly scripted, and they let George Herbert Walker Bush basically run the show. And none of that is happening right now. Donald Trump wouldn't tolerate Mike Pence running the show, and he won't tolerate getting out of the limelight. And so we're getting to see what got hidden from us in the case of Reagan. But I don't disagree with you. I think that there's some comparisons to be made there.
Check out, if you have the time, that American Made, the Barry Seals movie.
Okay.
It's great.
I'll look
Tom
for it,
Cruise,
Randy.
I loved it.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for
Bye-bye.
the call, Randy. Good to talk to you. Jackie in Lake Forest, North Carolina. Hey, Jackie, what's on your mind?
Hi, Tom. I was just curious about something about President Oprah. That if that were to happen, would Stedman be the first gentleman? They're not married.
President Oprah. Oh, gee, I don't have any idea. I guess actually we had one president who was not married. In fact, the best speculation is that he was gay. Was that Polk?
Who was that?
I'm forgetting who it was. But, there's a broad consensus that we had a gay president, and he had a niece who's, as I recall, her name was Nancy. Could be wrong on that, too. It might have been that they called him Nancy, because that was a slur for gay people at the time. And,
Right.
But in any case, his niece served in the White House as the First Lady throughout his presidency. So, yeah, I think it's entirely possible if Oprah was to become president that the first dude or the first husband or whatever would be her boyfriend, Mr. Stedman.
I just wonder if the religious right would be horrified that our president was living in sin in the White House.
I think they'd be far more horrified if we're talking about the white evangelical movement in the United States by the fact that A, you had another black president, B, she's a black woman, and she has power. Women, by and large, are not allowed power in much of the Christian community, certainly the Catholic Church, and parts of the evangelical community. And C, that she was living with a white man. I believe Stedman's white, right? I'm pretty sure. Maybe not.
It's hard to tell.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay. I don't. You know, I don't know that much about Oprah or Stedman. I guess I just assumed that. I shouldn't say that, but I think that they would be far more concerned about her race, frankly, than you know, whether she's living in sin. But that would be another hit on her.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see a President Oprah or even a serious challenge. You know, it's a great topic for speculation and fantasy and imagination. I think she might do amazing things as president, but I don't think it's going to happen.